All right, here we are for week 13, I think, of live coding with Kotlin and architecture components. And just to get us started, I always like to start off with a quick overview of what we're working towards and what this project's all about. And it is all about this page right here. And what this is where people can trade a cryptocurrency called Ethereum for US dollars. And up here, we see people who want to sell however many they want to sell and what price they want to sell it for. And down here we have however many they want to buy and the price they want to buy it for. Then there's a price chart in the middle, and on the right, whenever two people agree on a price that they'd like to buy and sell for, a trade happens and gets reported over here in the trade history section. And so we're trying to create this as an app. And also, if I'm not easy to hear or something's not easy to see, just call that out and I'll try to get that fixed as best I can. Cool. So let's look at what we've got so far. So here's the app and it's running, and we can compare it to this, and we can see we've got all of our trade history information coming in right over here. And at the bottom, we have some tabs. We've got a trade history tab, a price chart tab, and an open orders tab. So just like we've got here, trade history, price chart, order book. Maybe we should change that to the order book. Yeah, let's do that. So to change that to order book, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Android Studio, and it said open orders with a space in between. So let's see if we can just do this. Open orders. So that's Control-Shift-F, and then that's not right, is it? Because that's a log statement. So are we matching case? We are. So we're going to need to have two capital O's there. Let's get this capital O. And I always like to fix things like this, like little things like this. Once I see it, fix it immediately. It's just so you don't have to make any note about it. You know, if it's going to take you less than 10 minutes, just do it. So there's open orders. And what do we want to change that to? It was order book. So let's get that to order book. Order book, and then just to talk a second about where this is coming from. This is a menu that we load and to be the bottom navigation items, and the resource we use to do that is this from CodePath, so pretty good resource to follow along. I like CodePath, good place to get information. All right, let's look back and continue looking through here. So let's just hit run on that so it'll update. We can keep talking while it runs. All right. So we've got all that information coming in, and occasionally we will get some information that looks a little delayed, but so far I don't think that's necessarily our issue, which is good. And all right, so the first step when it runs the app is it clears everything that was in the database beforehand. So for example, if you opened this app last week and then you waited to open it this week, you'd see, so there was the clear. You'd see something like, oh, 300, and then it jumps to 321, and you'd be kind of surprised. So we clear the database when we start the app. And that's start the app, not the activity. So if we rotate it, it'll stay the same. So there you go. Oh, that's interesting. So we haven't rotated this since we've added the bottom navigation bar. I wonder why that's not extending the whole way. All right, so we'll maybe Google that one in a second because that's probably easy to fix. Maybe something's just not set to match parent. But for the time being, so we've got trade history. Let's look at order book. Order book is supposed to start us in the bottom or in the middle, which it did, so that's pretty good. And what this is it's this same recycler view over here. So you can kind of scroll up and down through the orders. And we finished this out last week. And the trickiest part really was figuring out how to get it to start kind of in the middle, because it jumps all around on you. And so we don't have it holding the middle in the middle or doing anything like that. We've just got it set up as a recycler view where we put the red stuff on top, the green stuff at bottom, and then tell it to start at I think there's 100 red and 100 green. So we tell it to start at the 100th index. We tell it to jump down to there. So when we jump here, it kind of starts in the middle, kind of like this does. Though if we wanted to, there's some more cleaning up we could do with this. For example, getting in this spread row right here, we could get that. And we could do aggregation too. I think that's new. That's pretty cool. So I think that'll add them together. Yeah, so there it aggregates everything by. That's cool. So I don't think we're gonna do that quite though. All right. So what we haven't done is price chart. So this is just showing the same order book fragment right now. So we need a price chart fragment, which is what we're going to be working on mostly today. However, first, let me just talk quickly about those couple of things we noticed that we might want to fix. So there's this. If it'll rotate there, we've got this little bit. That's weird. And then another thing, let's get that rotated back, is that when we scroll, we've got it really nice that the trade history leaves, and we could also make it so that this bottom part leaves. I'm not sure we would necessarily want to do that, but I think we would. But ultimately, I want to work on the price chart today, so we can leave at least this for later. And this deserves at least a quick Google search. So let's figure out the right word to use. It is menu. Where does this get used? That would be and main activity. And bottom nav items, you're going to get used somewhere. There, bottom navigation view. Okay, so that's what it is. So I wonder if that's just really it needs to be match parent. So we can do the L params here, and we can go width equals match parent. And I think we could also, I wonder if we could also just pass in match parent. Yeah, because I believe width is the first parameter, but to make it very clear what we're doing there, we can just set width equal to match parent, and it'll take all the other parameters as default values, and then we can see if that's the solution we're looking for. So maybe we might not even need to Google this one. So again, this is, and we're not using this variable right now, so I guess we can get rid of that. But we are including, this is Anko right here, so this is putting in this layout file. So I'm a big fan of Anko, which lets you do things like this for frame layouts, and this for app bar layouts, and this for toolbars, and the whole thing's wrapped up in a coordinator layout. But sometimes Anko doesn't have everything you want, so you need to create your own layouts. So for example, this layout just exists right here as there's the bottom navigation view, so that's that. And so we can just include it like this, and then we can use it just the same as we've done with the frame layout here. So then you've got your bracket, closing bracket, and then your LParam section. And that's taking a little bit to run. So let me pop over, see if there's any questions. Perfect. All right, so that build finished and ran, and that looks like that was the solution. So cool, that was pretty simple. So recap, the solution there was that was not having a width of match parent, and it eluded us by portrait mode being wide enough. So always got to remember to rotate everything. And if you're wondering how we're getting all this data to stay like that, that is using ViewModels, which behind the scenes use retained fragments. I think that's the right word, retained fragments, to keep all your data the same, so that if you don't have any data associated with the activity, which gets killed and recreated. All right, so let's pop over to, we don't have anything about chart here. So what are we doing for the chart? Main activity, switch fragment, RID price chart, gives us bottom nav items 1, command B, which gives us the word charts and a new open orders fragment. Okay, so problem number 1, this should be a new chart fragment. But before we do that, we should make sure that we can get data for our chart. So let's check out how to do that. We can set up a test for that. I believe Actually, we'll see. Yeah, this, because we've done the same thing here. So let's try that out. We'll do new, file or class, and this will be chart data test. And that could be a class. And did I add that? Yeah, I did. Okay, so now we need, was it API test? Yeah, and let's just rename that because that's not a very good name at all. So we can call that, and that is testing the WebSocket, right? Yep. So WebSocket test. Wait, no, it's not. That's testing getting orders. Yeah, order book API. Okay, that's what that is. Because now we have more than, this is using a different API, so having API test and different API test would be strange. All right, so let's get a function in here, run test, do that, get an annotation in front of it, it says test. And really, these aren't, I'm not really writing tests so much as just having a place to write Java code or code that doesn't depend on the Android system. So for this, we're going to use the Fuel library again. And what we need is this, is it get trades? Yeah, we need this get historic rates section right here. And so this is from the GDAX docs, and they've got all sorts of documentation for their APIs. It's really good. And what we can get here is we get products, and then we pass in the product ID and the word candles. And candles, if you're not familiar with looking at stock charts, that word's not going to mean much to you. So a candle is one of these little things. So for example, this candle is green, this one's red, and all the candle represents is this data right here, not volume, represented in a different way. So the time is just going to be where that candle is on the x-axis. So, this candle has that time, and the candles just summarize the trading that happened during that time period. So right now we're looking at 1 day candles. And what that means is that each of these shapes is 1 day. And what we can say from that is, for example, on this day, there was a low all the way down here. And since it's a red candle, we know that it closed lower than it opened. So we know that it opened up here on the upper left of this box, and it closed down here on the lower right of this box. And so if you see this next box, it's green, so it closed higher than it opened. So that it opened down here at the lower left, and that makes sense because this one closed at the bottom right. So it goes like this, and then this one goes up to here, and then it ends up there. That's the high. And you can see this has a little bit of a bit up there, so it's got, that was the high during this 1 day trading period, was up there, but it opened right here and closed right there. So these are candles, and it's just a way to summarize trading information, and that's what we're going to get from the API. So that should be easy enough for us to try and turn into a chart. And just for some more terminology, if anybody's curious, this part here and the box is kind of called the body, and then the wick is the part that kind of sticks out. So not sure why candles came into place in the first place, but hey, that's what it is. Okay, so we have to use this API to get all of this data. Let's see. Parameters, start, end, and granularity. So does it give us an example? It does not, though it says we need to put a product ID in there. And the maximum number of data points is 200 candles. Okay. And all right, it'd be nice if we could just have an example of this. That would be a little easier to see. So let's try and find that. Close that for now. We don't need bottom navigation view open anymore. And so let's go for GDAX, and so what's cool is we can usually find another project that's already done this. So candles API. like this nice Python one. So let's see if we can't find. I like to jump into their tests to see, because they usually combine everything together here. So how to get historic rates, they're calling that from client. So I'm going to come in here and public client maybe. Get historic rates. That's all comment. Wow, this is really well commented. Product scandals, params. Okay, they're setting parameters. And granularity equals where are you getting this granularity? Oh, they passed that in. Okay, so what did they pass in to that function in the test class? Let's go back here, check out, come back into the tests, in here and get historic rates. They pass in none, so I guess they're just getting default values. That's not very helpful. All right, well, we can try and figure that out on our own. So let's check out here, and we're just going to scroll down until it shows us a quick glance, and we'll just do this one. And then come in here, and our test, we'll paste that, and then need to import. And import that guy, import that guy, okay. Okay, so it could be nothing. That's interesting. All right, so we need to use a different website, obviously. So it is this, and that's going to come after the base of that function, or base of the URL. So let's just put this right here. And then product ID is ETH-USD. And what we put before products is that. And we can even save that off as endpoint if we'd like to make that a little shorter, which let's do that. So let's create a new val. Endpoint equals, and we can set it equal to this string. And then we can say endpoint dot get, and then, or rather dot HTTP get. Oh, and didn't we want it to say candles, right? Yeah, I just copied the wrong one. Yeah, it is candles. So product ID candles, and then a question mark, and then the parameters we want. But we can see what this gives us first, just as a default. So we'll get this, and I don't like the way they're doing that. I prefer the fold way of doing it, which, there it is. Or really, I guess maybe I don't prefer that way, but it's not going to, this way gives us errors and that way didn't. So we're going to do it that way. Endpoint, that goes with that, get rid of that, and then extend that. Cool. So what fold does is it takes in two functions, and if it works, it calls the first function, and if you got an error, it calls the second function. So on your result, if the result was good, do this. If the result was bad, do something with the error. So that's a pretty cool way to handle your HTTP requests. So in here, let's just print D. Yeah, let's just do that. And let's see if this works. Cool. And it's still going to build, but I think on subsequent runs it'll be really fast. But let's, in the meantime, we can see if there's any questions, what's going on. Cool. And back to the code. It's going to pop up over here, maybe in the run section. All right, still building. So we're going to get all of these candles. We're going to loop through them and build the candles on a custom view on side of a new fragment. And there that Does that mean that we got an error? Darn it. So print line error, and actually let's put these just with some text, just in case they're empty. It won't print nothing. So for example, if this data for whatever reason is empty, we would see data colon nothing instead of just seeing nothing down here, which doesn't really tell us anything at all. All right, so we've got that data and error, and yep. And you're not gonna have to build the whole thing again, right? That's the point of making this. Did I put it in there? Yeah, right, test directory. Okay, good. That didn't take too long. And nothing still. Okay. Aha. I know exactly what I'm doing. So the issue here, and so we will probably call it this way, but what's happening is our test is finishing before this has returned. So just to show that, we can put it in a test finished comment, and we can run this test again, and we're going to see this comment, but we're not going to see any of this because it's still waiting to hear back. So unfortunately, this is finishing the test before it gets done. Yep, so no good. And what's really cool though is that the fuel library gives us a way to work through that. So asynchronous. Nope, we're doing it asynchronously. We want synchronously. Blocking mode, we want this. And what that's gonna do is that instead of waiting for a response back, it's gonna block. Which means that it's going to not let execution of the program continue until we have heard back from our Git. And then we can take this and put it below here. And now instead of waiting, or now instead of continuing the program, it will run this all through, straight through. And so if we had this code like this in our app, we would want to make sure this is on a different thread than the UI thread, so it wouldn't cause the UI to stutter while we wait for the response. All right, so there's data that totally worked. So should we just go with that? How big are these candles? So let's get this guy. So 15035 7 1 440 and 380. So that's 60 between them. Are these like 1 minute candles? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they use seconds for this. So let's see. If we do UTC of some big number, if that gives us anything, fine. Okay. Seconds since epoch. Wow, that's cool that comes up. Epoch converter. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so that is seconds. And why that's important to check is in Java world and Android world, we would use system.currentTime millis, which would return that instead. So want to make sure if we're using seconds or milliseconds. All right, so we are using seconds, which means that these are 1 minute candles, which just to look over here, if we set this to 1 minute, it's kind of useless. I mean, this doesn't really tell you much. So we certainly don't want 1 minute candles. I think 15 minute, ideally we'd have the same options here, but that might be out of scope to do, especially overlays. That's cool. That is also new. I don't know when overlays came to this. But so let's stick for not shooting for 1 minute candles, because this is not useful information, which means we need to be able to pass in the parameters that they specify here. So let's try to get a granularity passed in. And so we're going to put question mark granularity. And since it's giving us this in seconds, let's assume that it wants seconds. So granularity equals, let's do 15 minutes. So 15 times 60, and we don't need semicolons. And then set this equal to granularity. And then see what that gives us. Hopefully the timestamps will be apart by 60 times 15. So 600 plus half that, so 900. So this is 4900, and this is 4000. So that is perfect. And then this one is 31, which then goes to 4000, which then goes to 4900. So now we have 15-minute candles. And yeah, the numbers are a little bit more different than they were before, so that's good. All right, so this works. This gives us the candles we want, and it's probably, let's see how many it does give us. So let's back up into here, and now we can get the JSON. It's nice when you have code to copy like that. And that's gonna get, oh, and let's call this guy data. That is a better name than D. All right, so we've got the JSON object, and then it's gonna be more of an array. So let's see, JSON get array. Oh, okay. Data. I wonder if that, so it looks like it's called data, which is an array. So let's just try this, see if it works. We'll go with this, and we'll say not get data, which is not really in the JSON, so I don't think it's part of the JSON, but that is what it says. Okay, so val, I guess we'll reuse the D variable right there. And then that's fun code. We can do a range from 0 to d.length, and then we can map this range, which means that just for each of these we're going to do something. Or really it's going to give us another array of the same length with whatever we put in here, but we're just going to print, so it's not going to give us anything. Print line. And what did we use? Oh god, get JSON array. Really? Oh, because this is an array of an array? Jeez. That's something. So D at it. So here it is being the number 0 to d.length. So it'll be like 0, then 1, then 2, then all the way up to d.length. So this is basically just a for loop. Just a fancy for loop. All right, let's see what that gives us. So we're still gonna, oh, that's why it prints data. Oh man, okay, so that makes me feel awfully stupid. But okay, so we've got our JSON object and we need to get it into an array. So yeah, we're not gonna get JSON array. Oh cool, wait, is there an error on that thing? So JSON object text must begin with that at 1 character. What? Are you not giving us JSON back? Well, okay, I guess I'll just, oh, that is so weird. Okay, so yeah, like this, here is JSON, and I guess I was just assuming this is JSON, but it's totally not JSON. Okay, so let's just parse that differently then. So getting rid of all this, and so we'll still start by printing the data, and then instead we'll do data.split. No, actually I want to see it first. So we're gonna run this, and it's going to give us something down here, and then we'll be able to look at how to address that. And I guess while let's go and see if there's any questions. Cool. All right, so there's that. And so what do we want to split by? Commas, but there's commas right there. So really, can we split on that? That's frustrating that it gives us, okay, whatever, we can deal with it. Okay, so data.split, and let's split it on that. And then so we'll say val data or candles. And then let's just do candles dot for each, or actually, since we're trying to show things in a different way, we can go 0 to candles dot length or size. Yeah, size. Candles dot size dot map, which I think you can still do for each, but we can use a map, which is really misusing map, but whatever. So it's that map, and then let's just print line it, which isn't, oh, candles it. Yeah, this is really not a better way to write this, but it does show a different way to write it, that is for sure. And if we're lucky, we'll get a lot of rows. Great. And of course, we wanted to go to size -1. Oops. And how did we get an index of 400? Didn't you say you'd only give us 200? That is right there. The maximum number of data points you'll get is 200 candles. How did we get 400 rows? 3, 2. Wow, and also that did a great job. So splitting on that worked super well. We just need to clean up that from the beginning and probably the closing one from the end, and then split it again. Actually, we should create a candle object from what's remaining. Yeah, let's do that. That's awesome. Okay, let's do, so this is going to be a data class, candle, and then in here we'll have val time low high open close volume, time, darn it, low high open close volume, and then we'll make these all vals. And make this, so time is a long, low is a float, high is a float, open is a float, close also a float, and then volume also, yeah, volume's maybe a double. Why not? I don't think we plan on using volume anyway, but, and okay, so we've got that. Can't remember if I usually put spaces after that or not, but okay, so we've got a candle object now, and in here we can start. So first we want to start by cleaning up our data. We want to do data.remove prefix, and we want to remove that, and then we want to do .remove suffix, and we're going to do that guy, and then this is going to be val cleaned data, And then we want to split our cleaned data to get our candles. Oh, can we do this in a cool way? So can we map this to an array of candles? Probably. Bet we can. Just directly. So if we split this, it's going to give us these rows. So something like this, which is still a string. This isn't, we don't have little pieces of that yet. So we can split that. Then map to a candle. So maybe we split it again. Yeah, so it is now a string dot split on commas. It's going to give us each of these as a little addressable piece. So 0, 1, 2, actually easier to count up here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, 6 pieces, 5 max index. So it dot split on commas. Okay, so let's call that, we'll just call that a something for array, whatever. And then candle, let's just call it a, because it's basically just a temporary variable. A0, A1, A2, wait, what? Oh, yeah. As long, I forget how, I forget what the right function is. Long, is it like long.parseString? Oh, I can never remember this one. All right, let's see. So Kotlin string to int would be fine. To int. What? Is that really it? I swear I tried that. Oh, no, I didn't. I tried as. Darn it. Or I typed 2 and it was slow to load. That's probably what it was. So too long. A1 dot to float. 2 dot to float. And then they're all floats until A5 is a double. 3 dot to float. A4 dot to float, comma A5 dot to double. Did it say to double or null also? That's cool. Huh. So it's like double or nothing. All right. We have now, so I'm going to set this equal to something, just obviously not 3. Okay, and then I want to see what E is here. It's a candle? For each works, okay. I think I got that as an array of candles. Let's see, for each, print line, it. And so this is gonna print out the, wow, that's, we can just back that right off like this, can't we? Okay, so we're gonna print whatever this turns out to be. Okay, that's actually how you use the map keyword. There we go. That felt great. Okay, so what happens here is a lot. We start by removing that and that from the end, and then we split on this to get us all the different rows as strings. Then we split those strings on commas and set that as a new candle from the splitting of each row. And then, since this is a map, which is sort of like a for each, except that instead of doing something for each one, you're creating a new array. So we're going from cleaned data dot split this. So we're going to have that many rows. And for each of those rows, we're going to have a candle. And so that's what we're doing. And so now we have a candles array. Cool. That worked so well. All right, so let's see if there's, and I'm gonna see if there's any questions on that, and then we'll try and put that into practice. Cool. Hey everybody. Awesome. So let's try to do this now. So we'll probably want a view model for this because we'll only want to load the data one time. And I'm still not super, I guess I've only set up these 2 view models in my whole life, so I don't pretend to be a view model expert quite yet, so that might take a second to get done, but let's look at how these, so this is doing it as a live data. All right, so ours isn't really a live data for the chart side of things, because right now we're just trying to get it set up so that it works. We don't want, you know, there's nothing changing about it. It's historical data, so it's from the past already. We're not trying to update it or anything, though we would want to update it if we were actually making the app. That, I mean, I feel like that would be something where you'd publish it and then you'd get a bug fix later on from somebody who has the app open for a real long time. Yeah, that's definitely not, let's not aim for getting it to update the candles as we're going. I think that's a little much, just because in this case with 15-minute candles, you'd have to be having the app open for 15 minutes, which, come on, who's going to do that? Okay. Well, probably somebody would do it, which is why you'd get a bug report for it after you publish the app, not before. Okay, so let's start with not doing a view model, because I think that might be adding too much complication for you at the moment. So let's just start with getting a chart fragment. Yep. Did I say that was a file? I meant to say class. Bummer. Just copy that, paste it here. Call it a chart fragment. Great, got that going. And then we need on create view to return some view. So let's see if Control O will give us on create view. Only one option, right? Good. Got that. And we need to return super or do anything with the super. No, we do not. That's the wrong thing. So this is command tilde. No. What am I looking for? Control tab. That's it. Control tab. Jump me back to where I was. Then we can delete that. And in here we need to inflate a new layout. So here, we don't even use the inflator, do we? No, we do not. We just return a view. So just to get this started, let's, what did we use? The container for that? We used context, which we have from, I guess we just have a context in here. Yeah, because it's a fragment. So there's the GetContext method, which in Kotlin just gets represented as context. So to show that again, we start typing this, it says from GetContext. So we know exactly where that's come from. So we have context dot, and then from a context, you can create whatever you want, any sort of view. So let's just go with a relative layout. And in that relative layout, we'll put a text view that says, hello. And we'll need to import text view. And then we'll return, oh, actually, we just want to return that. Return that, perfect. And then that finishes out that function. I mean, this is just a little MVP, minimum viable product, to get us started here. And then in main activity, we're going to want to use a new chart fragment. And then we'll run. Yeah, I don't think we need to import that though, do we? Nope. Get rid of that. We're not using a drawer anymore. All right, let's run the actual app now. And we should be able to click on our chart fragment, and then it should say, hello. So chart fragment, where'd you go? Where's ViewModel? Get rid of these view models. Okay, there's chart fragment. So this is not going to be, we definitely don't want to download the data in here. You want to use a view model for that, but we can do it in here just so we can get to the fun part of drawing the data. It's taking a second to run. Come on. All right, there we go. Now we're installing. So if we want to just get to drawing stuff, we can just copy this code out into our chart fragment. It'll reload every time the chart fragment reloads. Not ideal, but on most phones these days, it's not that big of an issue. But again, that would not be the best way to do it. All right. Oh, cool. And we are in landscape mode. So back here, click on price chart, and there it says hello in black. Should have changed the text color. We can't hardly read it. Okay, cool. So let's, and we can see exactly how this blocks too, I guess. Let's pull out this candle class, and this is not real clear. You know, I'm not planning this in a great way right now. We'll come back through on a pass later on to update things, but this is a fun way to do it for now. So there's that. Get us these candles. What are you complaining about? No endpoint. Let's get us an endpoint. That's important. And everybody's happy. Okay, great. So, oh, and then we need to return some view. I wonder, can we return? So I'm just going to do something real quick. So let's just try to return context.relative layout. Yeah, I want to see if this is context. If we can get a return in both of these sides, and it'll say, hey, that's fine. Oh, yes. Okay, cool. So we can return different views depending on if we got an error or not. That is awesome. So in here, let's do a relative layout, and we'll have a text view with the error dot message, localized message, error data. What should I put for the error? Let's just go error.toString for now. Error.toString, and then inside this text view, let's say text color, and we want that to be white equals color dot color. Need to import it before we can use the dot, so Alt enter to import it, then dot white. Great, and then dot lparams. So remember, before it was shown on the upper left, which is where everything shows, and by default in a relative layout, but let's tell it to center horizontally, as well as add a top margin of 16 dp, which we can't write like that. It's DIP 16. And we need to import DIP from Enco. Cool. And then Up here, we will have an array of candles. I'll just call this candles. It does get confusing when you don't split things out eventually. So there we've got our candles, and we can have a relative. Do we really need a relative layout? No, we should have a different. Okay, so we should have a new view there. Let's go new, compiler class, chart view, which is a class. Add it to get. It extends from view. And it's going to tell me to add that in a context. Chart view, you're going to need to take in a context because view requires context. And let's go ahead and just give this a val keyword in front of it so that we're able to use this context. What are you complaining about? Accidental override of GetContext. Okay, so we don't need to add val, it's already available in here as context. So, and here, actually chart view should also, why not, should take in an array of candles or a list of candles, whichever it is. Let's call it a list for now, and we can change that if it's wrong, which is a list of candles. Okay, and then in here we can do some things in a minute, but for now we're just going to return a chart view, a new chart view, which takes in a context and our candles, which is a list of candles. Perfect. So let's run this. And actually, so let's just put in some init code here so we can see something. I wonder if this works. Context.text view. Let's just see if this adds something. No. Text view? Okay. So, and here just extends a view. Okay, that's a good thing we can check. We can go background, color equals color, enter to import, dot green. So that's a good thing. We can check to see that our chart view is working. And using our new custom view. And then also we'll want to check that, oops, our error message down here is doing something. Oh, and we don't need to print these anymore. And we should be able to do that by setting it into airplane mode and trying to use the API. And it should not work. So, okay, let's click on price chart. Hey, look at that. It totally worked. That's awesome. Though it's so wide that we didn't get, so really maybe we just want margin 16 dp. And also, just like I said earlier, definitely going to get an error from trying to do network on the main thread. So yeah, check. Although it's kind of a good thing right now because I thought we were going to have to switch into airplane mode to see our error message, but that worked out really well. And then price chart. There we go, right in the middle. Cool. So error side's working. This side's a little more complicated because we need to wait on our data to have the view. I don't think, I mean, we can just try to do it on a different thread. I'm curious if that'll work. Let's do it. Thread. We'll probably get a different error, but you live and you learn. Okay, get that in there. We've got a thread. Oh, okay, that's why that doesn't work. Man, Android won't let me run blocking code. I mean, I know it's not the right way to do it, but it's a cool way to do it. Okay, so we're gonna have to refactor this to use non-blocking code, which means we do endpoint.http get dot response string or rather come over here to fuel library. It is up here in async mode, response string, and then we need that. So that, perfect. And then we do this over the end, get down there, and then we can do this result stuff. But this ruins our ability to return so nicely, which is super lame. So what should we do? So again, the issue here is that we had this nice, return this or return this if it's an error, but now we have to return a view perhaps first and then kind of change the view or update the view or something after the fact, because we have to wait for this response to come back. We're not allowed to block the UI thread. So can we return like a dummy view? We could try to load the data, load this at the very beginning, like when the app starts, and then it would just be here, and we wouldn't need to use onCreateView, or we wouldn't need to use this, we wouldn't have to wait for it at this point. But I don't love that solution. It would be nicer if we could load it on demand when the user asks for it. Actually, that might not be the case. It might be nicer to load it beforehand. I'm not really sure. That is worth some discussion. What I do know is that we need to figure out how we're going to do this. So just to fix it right now, let's go with chart view is going to need to be a little more specialized. So chart view, unfortunately, bud, you're going to have a text view NU. So, oh, that's why I wasn't able to do things. We're extending view. Let's extend you from relative layout. So let's extend you from underscore relative layout. Underscore relative layout is just a relative layout from Anko that gives us some fun syntactic sugar, and really it just gives us the ability to call that .lparams function that we see all over the place with Anko. So the underscore, it gives us this ability. We can set layout params very, very easily. And you can set layout params programmatically without this. It's just kind of a pain. You have to create a new layout params object, then set the parameters on that layout params object, and then set that layout params object as the layout params for the view. Just a lot more work than this. But also that's how layout params work. So, ta-da. All right. Open orders fragment, we don't need you at the moment. So now that this is this is relative layout, we should be able to do like a text view in here, right? Yeah, okay. So that's what we were missing earlier, is this needed to be a view group, not a view. Of course, relative layout being a view group. Okie doke. Let's see. So now chart view is relative layout, and it's going to need to have a text view for errors. We can leave background colors green for now. That's a good way to show us something's happening. But let's add a text view. Actually, we want to add basically this text view. Oh, right, we don't have the error, so get rid of that. Cool. So, text view, white text. And what's cool about these is that when you make a custom view and it's got this by default, you can actually, so error text view as a text view. Can we even just set that up here? That would be cool. Ta-da! Awesome. All right, so that's our error text view. And then when we init this, maybe we can just do the loading in here too. Jeez. All right, let's try that. Bring me back to being asynchronous because I just liked that better. Or where's the, there's the asynchronous code. There, let's just cut it so we can leave that nice and empty. Put it in here. So there's that loading. Oh, and it is going to feel nice to pull out the candle class from, sorry, let's get back to, there's Control Tab, to pull this data class, this candle guy, that getting that into our custom view, that feels nice because that's just right where that belongs. And okay, so now this does not start with a list of candles. Just starts with a context. And then we're going to load that. And then we're not going to do anything with the candles at the moment, though we can just print them out. Just to show that they're there. Remember, E is our function for logging to the error channel in Android. Just a nice shortcut for that. And then if we have an error, we want to set error text view dot text equals error dot toString. Okay. And then that's probably still going to give us an error that we're doing something on main that we shouldn't be doing. But at least in here, now we just have to return chart view, and pass in a context, and we're done. So it's probably still going to tell us that we can't do network on main, but I want to make it tell us that. I want to make it tell us that again, just because I like to be sure that this init function is indeed considered part of the UI, whatever that it's complaining about. Cool. And that looks like it ran. Let's get back to it. White screen, huh? Okay, there we go. That popped through. And price chart, green, and our network on main thread exception. Perfect. So fine, we can come in here into our chart fragment, nope, chart view rather, and instead of doing the network on main thread, we can do it the other way, where it's response string, and then it gives us these three things, and then we put in this little arrow guy, and at the end we need to bracket it off, and then everybody's happy. And now this time we run it, hopefully we won't get an error. And hopefully error text view won't have anything to say. So what I think I'm going to try and do here is that error text view Maybe not the best approach here, but as long as we don't set anything to it, it won't be visible. So we don't really need to do much more with error text view than this. It exists. It'll be there if we want to set something to it, but for the most part, I think I'm just going to put the candles over it. Trade history, whatever, price chart. Green, no error message. Okay, now we're talking. So, and it doesn't scroll. Good. In the middle here, we want to put a price chart. So let's do, all right, so we're going to get the candles from that. And then when we hear back, we're going to want to make, okay, we probably don't want to show all the candles at once, but let's maybe try that for a second. So, right, we had 400 candles, so showing 400 things on the screen like this, that just feels like a lot. So let's do, how can we split this out? We could use more views. Can we do canvas? Right, that's what we're supposed to do. Canvas dot. You know, it's funny. There's one of our workshops where we create basically a chart for, I think I used Bitcoin at the time, but I can't remember how that started. But I'm sure it's with the canvas. So let's do that one. That's what we wanted. That's right, that's right. Okay. So I wonder if that's going to mess up our text view that we already have. Let's find out. So Control O on draw, which gives us a canvas. And let's see, do we need to call super? Sure, I guess. And canvas is definitely not going to be null. All right, so on draw, let's actually make candles a list of candles, and let's start it as an empty list of candles. So val candles equals list, oh, doesn't equals, well actually wait, we can do equals list of nothing with a type of candle. Okay, so there's candles, and val cannot be reassigned, so candles dot add all. Or is that my fault for making it a list and not a mutable list? Okay, let's make it a variable then. So I think, so there's a couple ways you could handle that. You could do candles is now a variable, which means we can assign it directly. Or you could do candles is now a mutable list, which means we could call candles.addAll to add all of these to our candles array. For now, they accomplish the same thing, but further down the line, it's possible that that difference could be important. But for now, we're just going to do var, and it lets us set it, and we're done. And then in here, we need to do, okay, canvas dot, there's a width, right? Perfect, width. So let's do val candle width equals canvas.width divided by candles.size. And since we don't want to divide by 0, let's just come in here and say if candles.isNotEmpty, which is the same thing as saying, so candles is greater than 0, oh, sorry, candles.size is greater than 0. But as you'll notice, Android Studio, or really IntelliJ, says you can replace that with is not empty, and I agree, that is easier to read. So there we go. If it's not empty, and if it is empty, we're just not going to draw anything, and we're waiting for it to load. So perhaps we could have else, I don't know, draw loading icon. Though, you know, maybe if it was internet's not there or something, you'd want to do something better, but just to, that's an option that we might get to later. All right, so we've got candle width, and let's get candle max height, or let's get a max. So what order is all this data in? So the high is going to be at index 2, 0, 1, 2. So let's figure out which is the highest. Okay, so let's time, low, high, open, close volume. So time, low, high, open, close, volume, just so we can remember where all those are. So let's get val, highest price equals candles dot max by. So I've never used one of these max functions. Let's see what they do. Kotlin max by. See what those do. Okay, so that's cool. We can totally get a max from that. Dot max by it dot max, or it dot high. Wow, that's even easier. Val lowest price equals candles dot min by it dot low, and then let's just see if this works by logging it. And this is gonna log a ton. Highest as highest price, and then lowest as lowest price. And then I'm really not clear on how onDraw interacts with having text views and other such views as well. Like if it draws over it, if it draws under it, if it's a collision and something bad happens. But we're about to find out. Though to be fair, we're not drawing anything yet, so maybe we won't find out quite yet. Hopefully it will log though. We can check those docs real quick to see if we needed to turn on anything. I'm fairly certain we don't. Yeah, you just override onDraw and that's that. All right, here, price chart, green, logcat, that's us. Does that mean it's not getting called? I believe it does. So maybe candles is staying empty. What's going on here? Chart fragment. Okay, let's get a log message out here to see if onDraw is getting called. onDraw. Okay, and then we'll just hit run while I think of some different ways we can test what's going on here. Okay, so maybe let's see here. Yeah, I think it's just having issues with the fact that, okay, there we go. It's a relative layout, which is weird and not necessarily what we want to do. Right? Okay, it did call onDraw one time. Okay, let's try something different here. Let's comment that out and comment that out and make this extend just a view again, which should be okay for everybody else here. Okay, and we'll run that because we're trying to get this onDraw triggered and it should be going. We can go back here and look. Oop. Yeah, take a second to load there. All right, Gradle finished. Yeah, that should be getting called. Pie chart, logcat. Okay, that's different. On draw. How do I trigger? Oh, wait a minute. Let me try something else. So if we do this, let's put a thread in here. Thread, and then let's invalidate this while true. Thread.sleep for 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds, we're going to invalidate this view. And invalidate, all that means is, hey, you're broke, draw yourself again. So hopefully that's going to call this onDraw function, and we'll see this onDraw get called every 5 seconds. So this is basically like setting a frame rate of really bad. I mean, nothing like 60 frames per second. This would be 1 frame every 5 seconds. And we'll see if it works. Pie chart, logcat, onDraw. Hey, we did it. It called our invalidate. Okay, fine. UI thread. Run on UI thread. Okay. Run on. What is the command for that? Android, run on UI thread. What class are you from so we can use you? Where did you come from? Come on. From an activity, maybe? Nothing. Okay, using a context will get us that. So we can, that should let us call invalidate. All right, that's running. That's going to install. Hopefully we'll see that start to update. That's launching. And here we go. Price chart, logcat, onDraw, wait 5 seconds. There we go. OnDraw again. And then we got our highest as 344.34 and our lowest as 292, which we can check by coming in here, picking 15 minutes. Oh, but we got a lot. We got 400 of these. So let's actually go ahead and make this like 6 hours so we can see it. And this is 292, so somewhere in here. So actually, let's do some quick math. So we got 6 hours, 6-hour candles. So that is, so 24 of our guys per 1 candle. And we had 400 rows last I checked. So 400 divided by 24 is, we can see what it is exactly. 16 2/3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So right about, you know, our lows somewhere in here, like 292, and our high is 343-ish. And if we come back to the code, 292, 344. So yeah, that worked super well, and it's getting called every 5 seconds. So cool. So what we really want to do then is we want to set our candles in here, and once the candles are all set, then we want to invalidate. So we can get rid of this guy, And then it's going to invalidate. We're going to have this information from our candles. And then what we can do at the highest price and the lowest price is it's going to tell us kind of where to bound our graph at. So let's do canvas.draw line, draw square, draw rect. Oh, and we need paint. We need to have some paint. So let's get some red paint and some green paint. So, oh wait, and can we have this be a relative layout again? Uncomment, uncomment, and I'm just gonna hit run so we can get that up to see if we need to do that, but we're not gonna pay attention to it quite yet. So down here in canvas, oh wait, no, we needed paint. So let's make some paint. Let's get val green paint equals paint. And okay, what am I doing wrong there? And today custom drawing equals paint dot set color. Oh, we can set style to fill as well. So let's get the paint. That's kind of frustrating that that's going to have to go in the init. Okay, fine though. So we'll just do val red paint equals paint. So unfortunately we can't pass much into there. Wait, but can we pass in these flags? I guess we can stick with just following the example. So anti-alias flag. Sure, we could do that. Let's not though. And then in here, we're gonna need to set up our paint, and we can get rid of setting the background color. We can now trust that that works. So green paint dot color equals, we should have it somewhere. Yep, we've got a color green just available. Red paint dot color equals red. And if you've not been following along, these colors are just variables that we have created at the package level. So they just sort of exist as a top level in our app, and that's something you can do in Kotlin. You can create things and they are sort of a level above classes, or on the same level as classes really. And so this just exists right here. And this is not where we were, nor is this, nor is that. We were over here. Okay, so now that we've got those set colors, do we need to set anything else? Let's just leave it at that for now. We'll see what we need. Then in here, let's do canvas.draw rect, and it needs left, top, right, bottom, and paint. So for the left, so first off, which, I wonder if we got the most recent or the least recent candles first. Let's open up our, let's just run candles test real quick. Which is not what it's called, but we can just run it real quick and that should print out the candles. Oh, what? You don't really have to compile this to run that test. All right, there we go. Run the test. Still gonna build, that's frustrating. Anywho, canvas.draw rect, and we're gonna, you know, just pick, actually this is gonna need to be in a loop, candles.forEach, and then for each candle we're going to draw a rectangle with the left value being, and let's do this as indexed, and we'll do candle. Actually, let's, I'm gonna get that as autocomplete so it'll put things in the right spot for me. For each indexed, index and candle, wow, that's really That's perfect. All right. So draw rect and $15.0359850 $15.03597. So it is oldest first or most recent first to, so we kind of want to start on the right side and work our way back then, instead of working from left to right. So let's draw rect, and the first thing we need is the left. So actually we can just do this. So the left edge is going to be the right edge of the screen. So canvas.width minus candle width times index plus 1, because otherwise it'll be a 0. Yeah, plus 1. And then wait, minus candle width times index plus 1. So that the first one will be back from the right edge of the screen 1 candle width. And then the right edge is canvas.width minus candle width times index, I guess. Sure. Let's just go with that. We can see what comes up. And then for the bottom is going to be equal to, now here we want to frame it so that the bottom edge of the screen is equal to this lowest price right here. And so to do that, we need to get the difference between the highest and the lowest price, see where the price, and so for this, let's guess we need to figure out a little more. We need to use the min and the max and such, but we can do that. So do the, yeah, so we need to get the position between the lowest price and the highest price, figure out what percentage that is, and apply that same percentage to the difference between the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen. And just to call it out, in Canvas world, and when you're drawing on most computer screens, 0, 0 is right here. So this is positive X direction, and down is the positive Y direction. So up is not up, up is down. It's just what it is. Okay, so we've got bottom. So let's, that's gonna be candle dot, let's start with min, or not min, let's start with just low. We'll try to make these look like candles after we've got something showing on the screen. So first step, just get something. Second step, make it look good. So this is gonna be candle.low minus lowest price to get the difference there. And then we'll get that divided by highest price minus lowest price. And that's going to give us the percentage. What are we complaining about? What are you, candle.low? You're a float, right? Yep. Lowest priced. What are you? What do you? Okay, I guess we'll define you as a float and see if that gives us an error. Okay, it sure does. Oh, that gives us a candle. Okay, so lowest price.low. There we go. Oh, and it can be null. What? No. That's not going to be, oh, I can't believe that worked. I can, not null. Okay, sure. Sweet. So yeah, because if candles is not empty, these are not going to be null. And then low, so then highest price. So it's really highest priced candle. Oh, so what we really want to do here is dot high. Yeah, that's what we want. Yeah, okay. So that, oh God, I'm still doing that wrong. There we go. Dot low. Okay, there. Then we've got that percentage, and then we want to take this times canvas dot height, and that's going to give us the where it should fall, and then canvas dot height minus that. That doesn't feel good to me. Whatever. Bottom, top, then we'll use high instead of low. Then we're going to draw a rectangle, and let's make sure we're getting the parameters right. We've got left, top, right, bottom, and we'll draw everything in green paint for now. These are ints. Now they're floats. Okay, so that'll do something, and we'll see what it is. I'm optimistic, but you know, that was a lot of typing between runs of the app. So let's get this out of the way so we can actually see everything. Okay, that looks a lot better. See if there's any questions, comments, concerns. Sweet. And let's get back to the code. Did it run the app? Sweet. And I'm hesitant to click it, but here we go. Price chart. Did it work? Doesn't look like it. So on draw was not called. Where's my on draw? That's weird. Oh, wait. Invalidate. How did that go away? No, wait, that's there. Huh. So in this on draw, let's include candles.size. So candles.size. And then let's say we have gotten our candles up here, so we can candles. And let's run that again. That'll give us a little more information. Candles for each index. Yep, drawing. Using green paint. So perhaps there, maybe the paint's not quite set up right. Android canvas site stack overflow.com. It's funny, I've used the canvas a lot, and it's just not something you remember every time. So, okay, why would you don't do this? Don't set your paint style in on draw. That's not necessary. On draw potentially gets called a lot, so you don't want to do that. And that's if you plan on making a game or anything like that, you'll be a lot more familiar with that. Especially when you need to hit 60 frames per second, or even just 30 frames per second. When you get a bunch of stuff in your on draw call, that is just going to mess things up. So maybe we want to call this set style to fill as well. Let's check real quick here. Price chart, and then logcat candles, but it's not calling on draw. Strange. Anywho, should we update our green paint? Green paint dot style equals that. Maybe it's not invalidating the right thing. Nope. That should do it. So 33, 34. We can bring out only our logs by adding that guy in there. Yeah, it's not calling on draw. Is that maybe because I can't imagine that's why that would be. Maybe it is though, who knows? So we've changed it from relative layout back to a view, and the downside of that is with a relative layout, we're able to add text views to it, whereas with just a view, not so much. But to be fair, I don't know that I've ever seen somebody draw it using the onDraw call on a relative layout. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but if this works now and it didn't before, it probably means you can't do it. All right, still not seeing anything. Well, at least we saw an onDraw. Right, that's new. But it didn't give us an onDraw after saying candles, which it should have done. So that's not very friendly. Candles, invalidate. I guess we try request layout. So request layout and invalidate are kind of the two ways that you can tell Android to try again with the view. So invalidate is when something about the view sort of internal to the view has changed, and then request layout is like if the size of the view has changed or something more like that. I'm not 100% on both of them, but I know that when you're in a situation that you're not having your view update, that you can try calling both of these and it will usually update. But perhaps I'm doing something more incorrect this time. Let's see. onDraw, candles, nothing. Strange. All right, let's put back in our thread. Thread. While true, we can thread.sleep for 5 seconds, and then we can context.run on UI thread of invalidate. And we saw earlier that that was definitely making it update. Now, wait a minute. Could that be called... is this being done in another thread behind the scenes? How would we find that out? Let's... I think it might show a warning for that. Oh. Did I see it? So, candles. Control F, candles. Control F. Candles, there we go. onDraw. Okay, we'll back it up to maybe debug. Is there anything else? So, candles. Find me some candles. There's that. Okay, anywho, app is now running. Click on press chart, and we'll have something new to look at here. Candles, there, highest, lowest. Look at that. We've drawn something. That's awesome. And what's cool about this is, so actually let me explain that real quick. What's happening here is, so right, we did that the width of our candle should, you know, match, so that this should fill up the screen, but it's not. And why it's not filling up the screen is because this is integer divided by integer, which is going to give us an integer. So canvas width divided by candle size is giving us an integer candle size, which is not quite what we want, because we want it to, you know, if it would be a float, we'd take up the rest of the screen. So let's do size dot to float. And then that should change it to be that, but I'm still not really sure why it's not invalidating like we want it to. Context dot run on UI thread and validate. So this is, we'll try this next time. So after we've checked this next thing to make sure it's taking up the full width of the screen like it should be, then we'll come out and we'll get rid of this thing, this thread right here, and we'll see if this needed to be run on UI thread in here, which makes sense to me. So this is right, this is happening on a different thread because we're not this doesn't block anymore. This is happening outside of the UI thread. So I think that's the issue, is that this just wasn't on the right thread. But I think we would have gotten an error or some sort of message about that, but we didn't. So, and now we're just gonna wait 5 seconds and then it should pop in, ta-da! And it's still not quite the full width of the screen. So, not sure why that would be. Maybe it's continuing kind of below here and we're missing it. Like it's getting covered up by the order book section, which seems pretty plausible at this point. Let's go to the chart. So on the chart, we've got, let's check out the 15-minute chart. And kind of looks like that, though ours is like very compressed compared to theirs. So again, we need to look at the hour chart to be more honest. 6-hour chart. Let's see, we have, so yeah, we're right, we're seeing this right here. So this is probably hiding behind our bar at the bottom there. So what we can do is try to offset that by the height of that. And real quick, we've got a big order right here. So let's see if that's in our order book. That's so cool. That's perfect. We clicked it and it even starts us right in the middle of the order book. I'm so happy with how that's all set up and working. Very cool. Get us back up there. There it is. Okay, so let's figure out what the height of this bottom nav section is. I don't know if that's going to be easy to do. Bottom navigation view height. I guess we could say Android. Perfect. Oh God, don't make me use a post. I hate doing things like that. It is like, that is the way to do it, but it is frustrating. Fine. Okay. But we don't have, whatever. Let's come into main activity. That's a lot of work just to figure out if that's the solution. So let's try to just offset the bottom by a certain amount. And also, so this canvas minus part at the beginning of these bottom and tops, this is just taking account of the fact that 0 is at the top of the screen, and I think for this screen it'd be like 1920 by 1080, so 1920 would be the bottom of the screen. So it's kind of flipped. So normally if you'd be thinking about a phone, you'd think the bottom would be 0 and the top would be 1920, but that's not what it is. So to flip it, we do canvas height minus what we want here. Cool. And then so we draw it, and we want the top and the bottom now to both be offset by a certain amount. So we want canvas height to, basically we want canvas height to be smaller, don't we? Yeah. So let's use val effect. We'll just do that. Effective canvas height equals canvas.height minus, we'll say it's like 32 dp high for the bottom navigation drawer, and I'll just put in a comment, effective canvas height. Okay, then use this guy. instead of, and how we can do this is highlight this section right here, and then Command or Control R to replace, make sure we have end selection checked, and then we want canvas.height, and we want to replace it with ECH. And then hit replace all. It's been replaced, and then we can see how that looks. And now we can think about, so chart view gets created, and lifecycle fragment, or rather chart fragment, which gets created here as a bottom nav item, which is outside of main activity, which means it has no knowledge of this guy whose height we need, which is probably a standard height, which is why I was looking it up and hoping we didn't have to actually find it. Okay, price chart. That doesn't look different, or does it? Maybe 30 dp was not quite enough. Let's do 100 and see if that makes a difference, because that should be easy to spot. TIP 100. And in the meantime, although perhaps having that bottom navigation view down there would be something we could avoid. Let's see. So switch fragment, we replace 123 with fragment. 123 is this frame layout, which is match parent, and this is all inside of a coordinator layout. So the question is the frame layout so big that it exists also below the navigation view? Gravity bottom, and I would bet that's the case. So app, price chart. Hey, look at that, 100 worked super well. So there it is coming out from the left. We just needed to offset our chart by the height of the navigation drawer, or not navigation drawer, the navigation bar on the bottom. So yay! But we should have this height exactly instead, which really comes, I mean, kind of highlights the issue that exists with coordinator layouts. So the coordinator layouts allow us to do things like this, where we scroll and the height, so see the trade history goes away, and we can have it so that when we scroll, this bottom section goes away too. But then that gives you all sorts of questions about, like, how big really is this view? So for example, on order book, like, now it's from here to here, but when we do this, now it's from here to here. And if we have this also hide away, then it gets a little, you know, even more complicated, and we'd have to have some special handling on this price chart page too, to handle the fact that this is either considered part of the layout, or this kind of floats on top of the frame layout, which is what's happening now. So I think if we could do the offset, that would be the way to do it, but that's got to be a standard height. Come on. I don't want to have to find it at runtime and pass it all around like this is suggesting. Bottom navigation view, let's try default height. DFAULT, default height. What can you do for me? Cannot amend height, blah, blah. DP. And let's get DP in quotes, because that we want it to tell us. Yep, it's totally normal. I moved the bottom view out of the coordinator layout. That's a good way to do it. Huh. Just review frame layout. Wait, what? No, there it's still in your layout. That's not quite what we're looking for. Though I like this thought of moving it out of the coordinator layout and using a relative layout as the root instead of a coordinator layout. That might work really well. Because then that'll give us that. Yeah, all right, let's just give that a shot. That's easy to try. We'll do relative layout, and then, but then this is match parent. So how does that? How does that work? Oh, they've got it above this. Okay, that could work. Let's try it. Relative layout. Good. Then this is a relative layout all around our coordinator layout. And we need to add that to our relative layout and to our coordinator layout, which ends right here. We can add it again. And we can pull this out to here, and we can give, so do you have an ID? Perhaps, yes, navigation. So, nope, jump me back to Android Studio, please. And then, and here we will do, so this is the space between our coordinator layout and our bottom navigation view, which has gravity bottom, but should change to align parent bottom, because now it's inside a relative layout. One parent bottom. Great, with match parent. Then this is going to be above r.id.navigation. And that'll work, yeah? Let's find out. While that's running, see if there's any questions. Whoop. Sweet. And Gradle is running. App has been closed down. Getting ready to reopen. Launching activity. And then it's going to delete everything like it always does. So you could already click over to price chart, but there we go. And price chart. Cool. Did that work? Huh. What's going on here? That's weird. Wonder if we got a strange request back. Oh, that's interesting. So we were able to lose the title bar. Get that. So, huh. All right, let's back out of this and we can open it again. What are you called? GDAX. And I think that'll cause it to flip out and delete and then come back. Nope, I guess we didn't leave hard enough. Order book in the middle, jumping us down. Keep showing us this 1 cent order. That's really weird. I can't imagine that has anything to do with what we're doing, what we just did with the bar at the bottom, which really, that seems to be working as far as I can tell. What's tricky is that we might want to have a better, we'll want a better way of showing, or we need to really handle, I have no idea what's going on here. We need to really handle the case of these two, this screen, or this fragment and this fragment scroll, and this one does not. So, you know, having no title bar here and no way to get it back, not so good. And also we need to get rid of this this padding now. So chart view, and let's nope. One of these shortcuts should clean up the imports. I can never remember which one though. Whatever, can delete them manually as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Just a little happy little imports going away. And now we don't need this effective canvas height stuff anymore. So just go back to canvas height. Just undo all of that. Then we'll run this one more time. And that should then show the chart looking really good, except for the fact that we can get the title bar to disappear, which I'm not entirely sure how we can fix that. I think we'll, next week, of course, since we're almost done with this stream, but next week probably coming into the switch fragment function here, and we'll find a way to fix that, which will probably have something to do with, so we've got this behavior that we attach to our, where's this getting attached to the frame layout, and we've got this, you know, scroll flags that we attach to the toolbar. So those sorts of things we'll have to address and see just how we can figure that all out to make it so that we can see that title, because it should say chart or price chart. There we go. That's much better. Although it still seems like it's not quite right there. Wonder why that would be. Right, because when we had it with an extra 100, it was good. In the top and the bottoms as the low on the lowest price. Canvas.height. Let's also log canvas height. So yeah, made really good progress on getting the candles in today, getting the chart started, and it looks like we're not going to be able to have this error text piece. We can get rid of that for right now. And it means we got to get rid of this as well. But, you know, and we've still got this weird having to call this every 5 seconds to invalidate. Oh no, we don't. We shouldn't need that. We should not need that. That's what we need to test before we stop. So run this again. Yeah, because we have this guy, which we needed to check and see if it worked. That's pretty important. And then we'll see what it gives us for canvas height. We're looking for it to give us like, I mean, this should be 1980 tall, so, but we want it to give us the height. We want the height to be 1980, assuming that's the actual height in pixels, minus the toolbar up top, minus this section up bottom, minus this system bar height up here. And that's what we want for our canvas height. So what do we have for that? 1533, right? That doesn't look so bad. But still, we were seeing more over here. So that's something. And maybe that's the system, maybe it's not accounting for the system bar or something. We'll have to figure that out. But long story short, we made some really great progress getting the charts in here. Order book looks good. Really not sure why it keeps giving us that 1 cent order, but I'm sure that's not our fault, of course, because it is sending us that order and our API calls. So that's strange. We can see, I can try to throw this, actually let's do that really quick. Let's just throw this back to how it was before. And I'm just going to Control Z a bunch, and we'll be able to, as long as I don't hit any buttons other than Control Z and Control Shift Z, we should be able to just test this really quick, make sure we're still seeing those 1 cent orders. I can't think of any reason that would be affected by moving the bottom navigation drawer, you know, permanently to the bottom, but we can test it, and I think we should, just to make sure, just because I don't think we were seeing that earlier. Okay, trade history, doing something. Price chart, yep, back to being off by even more, as it's no longer below this. And trade history, there's an order book, looking good. Actually, you know what it is? It's with the bottom navigation view covering up the bottom, we just can't see that order. So it was probably always there, but we just can't see it because it's being covered up by this. So yeah, that's more of an argument to, and this is the part, since we've control Z'd so much, I gotta make sure to get my hands on just the right button so that we don't type anything that's gonna mess that up. Now we're back to the beginning. We'll run it again. We'll be able to see those orders. That's like, why is the API giving us those? But that's not our fault. And then while that's running, let me check if there's any last minute questions here. Cool. And let's just see it run one more time. And then next week we will focus on, well, there's lots to clean up, but we will try to focus on getting, oh yes, that looks so good. So wait, was that, darn it. So it's taking the height as, so see if we get the toolbar out of there, the whole height of the screen is then this up to here. So right here to right here is what we're getting for canvas height. And we can tell because here, if we click on price chart, we're missing some. And if we come to trade history and we hide that section like that, so we scroll the screen up to show the whole height there, ta-da, now it looks perfect. So we'll fix that next week, as well as maybe fix some other issues and some other of these sections, but mostly next week we'll be playing around with the price chart some more, getting it to the point where it looks better, getting the colors in there, maybe adding some numbers so you can see what's going on, and maybe just cleaning up the code a little bit. But that's for next week. For now, just looks like this, and that's pretty good. Let's just look at the order book one more time, just see. Yeah, that's weird how we get these orders here at the bottom that don't, you know, it just drops 320, 318, 317, 300. There's definitely orders between 300 and 317, and then jumps from there to 276, then 150, and then 1 cent. What's going on? Anywho, we'll get back on the chart stuff next week, and I will see all of you then. See you later.